All right, let's take a trip back in time. Picture it, the mid-1990s. The personal computer, those big beige boxes, they were on every desk. They ruled the world. But one of the biggest names in tech had this wild, absolutely radical idea: to kill the PC. This is the incredible story of a failure so spectacular, it actually ended up predicting the future.
And that vision, that came from Oracle's own Larry Ellison. See, at a time when literally everyone else was trying to cram more and more power onto the desktop, he wanted to do the complete opposite. His big idea was to take all the brains, all the software, all the complexity, and move it off your desk and put it back where he thought it really belonged, in the network, on the server. And you gotta understand, this was not just some technical proposal. Oh no, this was a declaration of war. It was a direct shot aimed right at the heart of the entire PC industry, and especially at the king of that industry, Microsoft. Ellison was basically creating the anti-PC, and he called it the network computer. Okay, so let's really break this down, because you couldn't get two more different ideas about computing. In one corner, you have the PC. People were starting to see it as bloated, complicated, expensive, and you had to install all this software locally. But in the other corner, you have the network computer, the NC, and it was promising a whole new world: lightweight, simple, low cost, and all your apps just run over the network.
So what was this thing, this network computer? Well, the vision was for a device that was basically just a simple terminal. Think of it less like a computer and more like a window into a much, much more powerful system that lived somewhere else.
Now, there's a technical term for this. It's called a thin client, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Unlike a PC, which has to do all the heavy lifting itself, a thin client is designed to be, well, thin. It doesn't do much on its own. It relies almost completely on a big, powerful central server to run the apps and crunch the data. The NC was going to be the ultimate thin client. And for any IT department back then, this sounded like an absolute dream come true. I mean, just imagine, no more bloated PCs, no more running around installing software and updates on hundreds of different machines. Instead, every single application, all of your data, would live safely on one central server, a server that just so happened to have a direct line to Oracle's powerful databases. It was a vision of pure simplicity and control.
The whole idea, the marketing slogan that drove this entire project, was simple. It was that the power wasn't in that box on your desk. Nope. All the power was in the network. A simple idea, a powerful idea, and, as we're about to see, an incredibly forward-thinking one. So here's the billion-dollar question. If this idea was so brilliant, why aren't we all using network computers right now? Well, it's because the vision was pure science fiction, but the technology was stuck firmly in the 1990s. And that dream was about to collide head-on with a very harsh reality. This timeline really just says it all, doesn't it? The NC launches in a world where most of us were still connecting to the internet with that horrible screeching sound of a dial-up modem. The fast, always-on connections that the NC absolutely needed to work, they just didn't exist yet for most people. And on top of that, people actually liked their powerful PCs. They weren't exactly lining up to give them up.
And yeah, the result was brutal. It was swift. The network computer wasn't just a small stumble, it was a total, massive, commercial failure. The market just wasn't there. The timing couldn't have been more wrong. But wait, this is where the story takes a fascinating turn. Because while the product was a total failure, the core idea behind it was about to be proven completely right. It turns out the concept wasn't wrong at all. It was just waiting for the rest of the world to catch up. So we have to ask the question, right? After this huge public failure, was Larry Ellison just totally wrong about where computing was headed? Was his grand vision just flawed? And this slide right here is the answer. Just look at this comparison. On the left, you've got the NC vision from 1995. Centralized computing, thin clients, intelligence on the server, apps and data in the network. Now, look at the right. That's the cloud computing model we all use today. It is the exact same architecture. The network computer didn't fail. It was a prophecy. And where do we see this vision today? Oh, just everywhere. The biggest tech platforms on the planet, AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, even Oracle's own cloud business, they are all built on the very same principles that the failed network computer was screaming about more than 20 years ago. So what did Oracle learn from all this?
I mean, this very public failure wasn't just some embarrassing moment in their history books. It turned out to be one of the most important lessons the company ever learned, and it would fundamentally change their strategy for decades.
And you can just follow the breadcrumbs. The logic is crystal clear. Okay, so the NC fails because the hardware and the networks just aren't ready for the software's big ambition. So what's the big lesson for Oracle? It's that if you want your revolutionary software to actually work, you can't just hope someone else builds the right hardware for it. You have to build it yourself. And that realization, that path, led them directly to one of their most successful products ever, their engineered systems, like Exadata.
I mean, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Without that painful public flameout of the network computer, one of Oracle's most important, most successful product lines might never have even been created. The failure wasn't the end of the story. It was the catalyst for their future success. And that really just leaves us with a fascinating question to chew on. The story of the network computer proves that the line between a failure and a prophecy can sometimes just be a matter of timing. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many of the bold ideas that are failing today are actually just giving us a sneak peek of the world that we're all going to be living in tomorrow?